What's up, everybody, and welcome back. We have match day 8 predictions and a little bit of 7 views on the reviews for the last couple weeks. So I'm going to recombine them, but review the games pretty quickly and then do the predictions. So we're just going to hop right into it here. First off, we had Montreal versus Vancouver. I thought that it would be a 2-1 win for Montreal, and I nailed that one right on the head. Got a perfect game there. Next up, we had San Jose versus Nashville. I went with a 1-1 draw. It actually ended up being a 2-2 draw. Pretty good so far. Houston Dynamo versus Portland Timbers. I predicted it'd be a 2-0 win, but it ended up being a 0-0 draw. Very surprised that that game went scoreless. Then we have Atlanta United versus FC Cincinnati. Thought Atlanta would win this game 2-1, but actually it ended up being a 0-0 draw. Atlanta, the injuries keep coming. Brad Guzan is now out, probably for the season with a torn Achilles. So now we're without a goalkeeper. Not very good. Next up, we had New York Red Bulls versus FC Dallas. I thought it would be a 2-2 draw, and it actually ended up being a 0-0 draw. What is up with all of these 0-0 draws this weekend? So next up, we have DC United versus Austin FC. I thought it would be a 2-0 win for Austin. It actually ended up being a 3-2 win for Austin. Then, I'm glad I got this one right. Toronto versus Philadelphia. I thought it would be a 2-1 victory for Toronto, and I nailed it on the head. I didn't think that Philadelphia was going to continue this run. Now, I got a feeling they might win the next week. Philadelphia Union is just too good of a team. I think it was just an off game, and that's what I thought was going to happen this week. So, anyways, moving on, we have Columbus Crew versus Orlando City. Thought it was going to be a 2-2 draw. Ended up being a 2-0 win for Orlando City. Very surprised by that one. I thought the Crew were better than that. They've kind of fallen off these last couple weeks. So, next up, we have New England Revs versus Charlotte. I thought it would be a 2-2 draw, and it actually ended up being a 2-1 win for the Revs, which that was nice. That ends their losing streak, I believe. Then we have Minnesota United versus Colorado Rapids. I thought this was going to be a 1-0 game, and it actually ended up being a 3-1 game for Minnesota. So I did get that right with the win, but the score prediction, not so much. Now we have Chicago Fire versus LA Galaxy. Thought it was going to be a 3-2 victory for LA Galaxy. Ended up in a 0-0 draw. So many 0-0 draws this weekend. Very surprising to me. So then we move on to Seattle versus Inter Miami. I think this is the one that I got wrong the most. Except for the next game, everybody got that wrong. But I thought that this one was going to be a 3-0 win for Seattle. It actually ended up being a 1-0 win for Miami. I'm very surprised that Miami shut Seattle out. Moving on to the craziest game of the week is Nyc Fc versus Real Salt Lake. I thought this game was going to end up in a 1-1 draw, but boy, was everyone probably wrong on this one. New York City comes out and just spanks Real Salt Lake with a 6-0 victory. And then to conclude the weekend, we had LAFC versus Sporting KC. Thought it was going to be a 2-0 victory for LAFC. It actually ended up being a 3-1 victory for them. So still got the two goal gap correct in that, which was pretty nice. So currently the standings are: we have the Union, Orlando, Red Bull, Atlanta, Toronto, Chicago, and Montreal in the top 7 for the East. In the West, there's LAFC, Austin FC, the Galaxy, Dallas, Houston, Salt Lake, and Minnesota would be the teams that would make the playoffs if they started right now. Which leads us into our team of the week and player of the week, and then also our game. So we've got 99 picks, we've got 41 correct, and we've bumped that perfect game up to 6. But, of course, the team of the week has to go to Nyc Fc. I mean, a 6-0 victory. Even though it's a struggling Real Salt Lake, beating someone 6-0 is pretty crazy. And then, of course, Castellanos for Nyc Fc gets the player of the week with 4 goals in that game. he dominated. So with that being said, we are going to move over into our games for this week. First up, we have FC Dallas versus the Houston Dynamo. The current form for FC Dallas is 3 wins and 2 draws. And it's the same thing for the Houston Dynamo. This is going to be a really good game, in my opinion. FC Dallas is ranked 2nd at home, and Houston hasn't lost in the last 5, but also FC Dallas. I do believe, however, this game will end in a 2-2 draw there in Dallas. I think these two sides are very good sides, and I don't see them. I don't see it being separated. So 2-2 draw there in Dallas. So next up, we have the Philadelphia Union versus the Montreal, and currently the Union's form is 4 wins and a loss, whereas Montreal is on a bit of a good streak here with 3 wins and 2 draws, and they are currently on a 3-game win streak. But do I think that they have enough to beat Philadelphia Union? I don't think so. They haven't Montreal hasn't kept a clean sheet in the last 9 games, and I don't think it's going to happen here. I think that the Union win this game 3-1 at Subaru Park. They're just too good at home. I don't think they might not lose a game at home. That's a very bold prediction, but I could see it happening like that. So next up, we have Minnesota United versus Chicago Fire. This is going to be a low-scoring one, I believe. With Minnesota United, their current form is 3 wins and 2 losses, whereas Chicago Fire is 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. Even though Chicago did tie LA Galaxy last week, it was 0-0, but I just don't think Chicago Fire has what it takes. They haven't scored in their last 3 matches, which is kind of concerning. They don't have anybody to score, and I believe that trend continues for them, and I think Minnesota United win this game 1-0. That leads us to DC United versus New England Revs. DC currently their last 5 form is 1 win and 4 losses. Those 4 losses are in a row, so they are currently on a 4-game losing streak, whereas New England Revs are also 1 win, 4 losses, but they are currently on a 1-game win streak. They finally broke that streak of losses. I believe that this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game. I think the DC United finally get back on track, especially at home at Audi Field, and I believe that they will win this game 2-0 over the Revs. Yes, the Revs did just win last week, but I think that they don't have enough to continue that win streak, especially at DC. I think DC has a lot to make up, especially for these last 4 games. And that leads us into Austin FC versus the Whitecaps. Austin FC currently are 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. The Whitecaps are 1 win and 4 losses. They are currently on a 2-game losing streak. My apologies, losing streak. Right now, Austin FC still pretty dominant, especially at home at Q2 Stadium. They are actually ranked 1st at home in the league. And I think that trend is going to continue, especially against a very inconsistent Whitecap side. And I do believe that they win this game 3-1 at home over the Whitecaps. Which leads us into the Sporting KC Columbus Crew game. Sporting KC currently 1 win and 4 losses. Columbus Crew 1 win, 1 draw, and 3 losses. So we got 2 struggling teams here. Just doesn't look like too much is going to happen. Sporting has lost their last 3, like I said, and actually Columbus hasn't scored in their last 3 games, which is very unusual for them. I don't know what's happening there for that. But I will say that I believe Columbus will turn that around, score this game, and actually beat Sporting 2-1 at Children's Mercy Park and steal those 3 points away. So that leads us into Colorado Rapids versus Charlotte FC. Very surprised that Charlotte lost last week to the Revs, but at the same time, the Revs had to turn it around at some point. So currently the Rapids are 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses. where Charlotte is 3 wins and 2 losses. Colorado, though, is unbeaten in the last 4 of their home games, and I just think that they will continue playing well at home, but I do believe that Charlotte come in and walk away with a point, and this is going to end up being a 2-2 draw there in Colorado. Moving on, we have Seattle Sounders versus Earthquakes, which I said that backwards. It should have been Earthquakes versus Seattle. They are at PayPal Park. They're in San Jose. Both teams, I feel like, are struggling. San Jose still haven't won a game, I don't believe. And just Seattle's not having a very good season. San Jose sets 14th in the table, whereas Seattle sets 11th in the table. Earthquakes' record right now is 2 draws, 3 losses, whereas Seattle's have 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. I believe that San Jose get it done this weekend, and I think that they win this game 1-0 over Seattle. I think Seattle's struggling. This is the perfect time for Earthquakes to get their first win of the season, and they have nothing to lose. They need to get a W. With that being said, that leads us into the Timbers versus Real Salt Lake. The Timbers currently are 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses, and Real Salt Lake are the same. 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses. Real Salt Lake are coming off of that 6-0 loss to NYC FC. They really need to turn it around, but I don't think that they get it done at Providence Park. Timbers are too good at Providence Park. I know that they lost their last game at home and then tied the one before that, and they win this game 2-1 over Real Salt Lake. And then that leads us into LA Galaxy versus Nashville SC for the last game on Saturday. The Galaxy are currently 2 wins, a draw, and 2 losses, and the same thing for Nashville SC. Also, all of Nashville's games so far have been away. So that's crazy. A lot of travel for them right off the bat. But it happens. It is what it is. I think that Nashville has a stronger side than the Galaxy, in my opinion. And with that being said, I think that Nashville walk into the Galaxy and win this game 3-1. I just think that Nashville has a better side, and they will get the job done. So next up, we have Inter Miami versus Atlanta United. Unfortunately, Atlanta United, the injuries just keep coming. Things are not looking very well. Guzan, like I said earlier, with the Achilles, he's done probably for the season, so we need a goalkeeper. There is rumor that Atlanta is trying to get Matthew Hoppe in, which I kind of want to see that. I would like to see Matthew Hoppe come to Atlanta. The way he gets after it and everything kind of reminds me of Martinez. Obviously, he is no Joseph. Joseph is the king, but with him being out, the way I think Hoppe's style is pretty much the same or kind of the same-ish, in my opinion, and I think Hoppe could learn a lot from Joseph. So I think that would be a great thing. So anyway, I can get into just talking about Atlanta the whole time. Inter Miami currently set 3 wins and 2 losses, which that is counting their U.S. Open win over Miami FC. Atlanta currently are 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. Atlanta has not scored in the last 2. Miami have only won their games 1-0 in the last 2. But I do think that Atlanta go in and walk away with a point. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw there in Miami. Now we move into our second game, on Sunday, and it is Orlando City versus the New York Red Bull. 2 good sides right now, 2nd and 3rd in the table. Orlando 2nd, Red Bull are 3rd. Currently, Orlando City is 3 wins, a draw, and a loss, whereas the Red Bulls are a win, 2 draws, 2 losses. I think Orlando City is on fire right now, and I believe that they will continue this streak. Currently on a 2-game win streak. They're back at home at Explorer Stadium. I think they get this done 2-1 over New York Red Bull. Now we move on to FC Cincinnati versus the LAFC. Currently, FC Cincinnati, their last 5 form is 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw, whereas LAFC, they're just dominating. 4 wins and a loss, which I don't think LA Galaxy are better than LAFC. Just my opinion. I got a feeling, though, with this being at TQL Stadium, I think that FC Cincinnati will sneak away. Yes, even though being at home, I think they sneak away with 1 point and get a draw with LAFC at 2-2. LAFC is just too strong of a club. They're really good this year. I could see them winning the cup if they continue playing the way that they are. It's going to be between them and the Union as of right now. I mean, I know that they both have the most wins right now in the league, but just the way that both teams are playing, they're going to do it. So that leads us into the final game of the weekend, which is NYC FC against Toronto FC. Currently, NYFC have 1 win, a draw, 3 losses, where Toronto has 3 wins, a draw, and a loss. I think New York is going to start turning it around, especially since I think the Champions League is over for them because they lost to Seattle, I think, or I can't remember. So don't keep me up on that. But I do think that they'll start turning it around, especially with that 6-0 win over Real Salt Lake. And I think they get a back-to-back win, especially since they're back at Yankee Stadium. I think they win this game 3-2. And that is the predictions for the week. Please give the video a thumbs up if you like the video. Tell me down below who you think's going to win and who you don't think's going to win. And let me know what your predictions are. And if you like my content, please subscribe to the channel. That helps me out. And especially the commenting and liking, that also helps out. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.